What's up guys, Sean Nalawani here, SeanNal.com, BodyTransformationTruth.com. And in this video here, I wanted to talk about one of my biggest pet peeves in the fitness industry. I have a lot of different ones, but this is definitely right up there. And that pet peeve is the average run-of-the-mill personal trainer at your typical big box gym. Now don't get me wrong, there are plenty of good personal trainers out there who are physically fit and who know what they're talking about and who do provide good service to their clients. So I'm obviously not talking about everyone here, but I do feel pretty comfortable in saying that far more personal trainers than not are going to be a waste of time and a waste of money for the average beginner trying to get into shape. They probably have good intentions, but most typical personal trainers are just not very knowledgeable when it comes to training and nutrition, and they end up steering their clients down the wrong path, and they do it while charging upwards of $50 or more per hour, which is not cheap and which does add up a lot over the long term. The average beginner probably doesn't realize this, but getting a personal training license really doesn't require much, and it should be a lot more difficult than it is. The term certified personal trainer might sound fancy to someone who's just starting out. You know, they got the uniform and the name tag, and it all looks nice and professional, but the truth is that all it really takes is memorizing some very basic information over a few weekend courses, a lot of which is probably outdated information anyway, and anyone out there can very easily become a certified trainer regardless of their actual knowledge or their experience level. You could honestly spend a few days or a week conducting your own research on Google and YouTube, and as long as you follow the right sources, you could easily learn everything that the average personal trainer knows and more, all on your own. I've spent endless hours in a ton of different gyms throughout my life, and you just see the same basic things over and over again no matter what gym you go to, and I personally find it really frustrating because you have a fitness beginner who is obviously serious enough about wanting to get into shape to actually go out and hire a trainer for it, or maybe they just felt pressured into doing it by the salespeople at the gym, but they don't realize that the actual guidance they're being given probably ranges from bad to really bad in most cases. You know, you'll see a trainer standing there counting reps while their client does squats or deadlifts using terrible form. You'll see a woman who is, 150 pounds overweight being taken through an arm isolation workout. You'll hear completely outdated nutrition advice with trainers telling their clients to avoid carbs or that they have to eat 6 clean meals every 2 to 3 hours. You'll see skinny guys who are trying to gain muscle being put through light circuit training style workouts, just everything imaginable that is so far less than optimal. And I know this all might sound a little harsh or over the top, but it's honestly the way it is. And for those watching who do have decent fitness knowledge and experience, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So please go ahead and comment, and if you know what I'm talking about, to back me up here. But yeah, this is exactly why you'll notice that a very high percentage of the clients that you see coming back to the gym week after week after week never really seem to change all that much, even though they are putting the effort in at the gym. And it's also why a large percentage of trainers themselves aren't even in really good shape. I mean, really, if you take a look around at the average gym, it's actually fairly rare to see a personal trainer who's actually in legitimately impressive shape. And I recognize that being in shape doesn't necessarily mean that you're knowledgeable on the subject and vice versa. But I think if you're going to be paid to teach people how to build muscle and how to lose fat, then you should lead by example. At the very least, if you're a trainer who isn't currently in the best shape, then you should at least be someone who has made considerable progress from where you started. I'm not saying you need to be shredded by any means, but you shouldn't blatantly be overweight or out of shape, which many trainers are. So if you're a beginner and you're looking to hire a trainer to start you off on the right foot, or just to have someone to be accountable to, at the very least, you should do some research first to make sure you're working with someone who really does know what they're doing and who's going to be worth the money for you. If they're promising you any sort of over-the-top results, then you'll immediately want to stay in the clear. Most beginners are not going to gain any more than about half a pound of muscle per week in their first year of training, in the best case scenario, and losing any more than around 2 pounds of fat per week consistently if cutting is your goal. That's not going to happen over any lengthy span of time unless you're significantly overweight, in which case it might be possible. But for most people, around 1 to 2 pounds per week is a reliable guideline. So ask what sort of results you can expect to achieve, and if the numbers fall anywhere far outside of those ranges, then that trainer either doesn't know what they're talking about or they're deliberately over-promising just to get your business. You can also ask them what type of workout plan they'd put you on. If it's not a basic routine that centers around heavy compound exercises at a relatively high intensity with a focus on progressive overload, hitting each muscle at least twice per week, because if you're a beginner, assuming you probably are if you're looking for a trainer, then you'll want to target each muscle at least that often. Again, if the training guidelines fall very far outside of that, then you're not going to end up with an optimal plan. If as a beginner they have you on some crazy workout plan using things like supersets and drop sets, a ton of isolation exercises, or some sort of weight training cardio hybrid, again, you're going to be wasting your time and money there. They also shouldn't be overemphasizing cardio either. Weight training should always form the basis of your workout routine with only a moderate amount of extra cardio added in, but most definitely not the 4 or 5 days plus per week that a lot of trainers will just sort of aimlessly recommend. On the nutrition end, if they're giving you outdated advice saying you have to eat perfectly clean 7 days a week, you can never eat any sort of cheat foods, you can never drink alcohol, you have to eat every 2 to 3 hours, or that you need to follow some sort of restrictive eating plan like low carb or paleo or gluten-free, again, that trainer really doesn't know what they're talking about. They should be able to explain the basics of calorie and macronutrient intake to you in relation to your goals. They should understand the concept of flexible dieting, and they should have you on a well-balanced plan where you're eating the right quantity of nutrient-dense whole foods a good percentage of the time, but that also incorporates some flexibility so that you can fit in your favorite foods in moderation as well. And don't forget to ask about supplements too, because if they're anything but a supplement minimalist, especially given that you're probably a beginner, again, they're steering you down the wrong path and you're just gonna end up wasting even more money in addition to what you're already spending for the training services. A basic whey protein powder, creatine, fish oil, multivitamin, maybe a basic pre-workout. Anything much beyond that is not gonna be necessary. So if they start mentioning things like fat burners, or glutamine or BCAAs or testosterone boosters, especially if they're being sold through the gym, then that's gonna be another massive red flag for you. So again, I know that there are a lot of great personal trainers out there, people who know more than I do and who are in better shape than I am. So if you're someone out there who is providing legit training service, then I give you all the credit, and this isn't directed at you. And you know exactly what I'm talking about in this video anyway. However, the simple truth is that the average run-of-the-mill personal trainer is hugely overcharging you for what would be at best a far less than ideal program, and at worst, possibly even a counterproductive program. So if you're a beginner who wants to work out with a trainer, don't just assume certified personal trainer is all you need to look for, and you should be doing extensive research first before you decide to work with someone, because you're going to be putting the time, you're going to be putting in the effort, and your results will basically be in their hands. So thanks for watching, guys. The official website is SeanNall.com. You can follow me here on social media if you aren't already. The links are in the description box. If you want to skip the personal training step altogether and just get all the no BS science-based tools you need to lose fat and gain muscle as effectively as possible, including step-by-step workouts, meal plans, supplement guides, and one-on-one email coaching, then you can download my Body Transformation Blueprint by clicking here or by heading over to bodytransformationtruth.com using the link in the description box. And feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date on future videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you again soon.